Newcastle as a city is a brilliant city to study architecture in. There's a terrific drama to Newcastle, and it's an excellent basis for design.
Newcastle as a town, generally I've liked so far, and it is pretty. I mean, I come on that train on a Monday morning, and looking across that bridge and that river, that's just like, sets you up for the week, really.
Basically, I like the town, and don't live very far away, so I've been here before and I've loved it. And then when I came for my interview, I just thought it was great.
That's why I like this city. It has, for me, every aspect of what I want in student life. So it's a very nice place to come to study, especially architecture.
And you notice that when you walk into the door, in a sense, it is a friendly place. We know the students on most of them on first-name terms. They know us on first-name terms. And it is, in a sense, a dialogue that's constantly going on. So you become really, in a sense, part of a large family, if you like.
I think the important thing to get across to students when they begin architecture is that it is perhaps more than you perceive just in terms of making practical spaces for people to use that keep the rain out and can be built and all of those sorts of things, that actually we relate to buildings in a sort of a sensual way, an emotional way, a spiritual way.
An architectural student must complete 7 years of training in order to qualify as a registered architect. The training begins with a 3-year BA Honours degree in architectural studies. This is then followed by a 2-year Bachelor of Architecture degree, sandwiched between a minimum of 2 years in professional practice.
Well, in Newcastle, although we have an arts degree, our degree is an arts degree, and our whole background really is developed from the arts. We are very conscious of the importance of technologies and the sciences, and we try to maintain a balance.
There are 5 main elements to the lecture course at Newcastle: environmental design and services, building construction and materials, history, theory, and structures.
We see the design studios as the main focus of our education, where everything really, in a sense, came together as a synthesis. So we try and encourage students to work in the studios as much as possible on projects which we set periodically, and these are marked. So in a sense, students not only come into contact with us, but also with each other and with the problems. And so it is this sort of melting pot in which they learn to develop and deal with particular architectural design issues.
It's not really supposed to be beckoning, I don't think. I think once you've entered, and that's that. Right. And then the doors are in the centre of these centres here, and we've got glass on all the other sections.
There is always someone here to help you if you've got any problem or.
The department provides numerous facilities to help with the design process. Students have the option of working with computers in a fully equipped CAD suite. They can also pursue the more traditional areas of design with a workshop and artificial sky for model making, the darkroom for photography, and a spacious drafting studio. In addition, the school has its own library and coffee shop on the premises.
One of the objectives of the BA course must be to make you capable of taking full part in an architectural practice when you have this year out, it's actually a very important year because it gives you an insight into the real world of practice and perhaps fills in on those aspects which it's very difficult to cover in the sort of, within the walls of a university. You actually get out and onto real building sites, you can engage with clients, so you can see all of those aspects that you perhaps don't cover on the course.
You're suddenly launched into a situation where there's an incredible amount of knowledge, kind of a huge pool of different diverse parts of the whole building trade, which then come together and which you have access to.
And then when you come back to do the sort of postgraduate studies, you have a much more complete image and idea about architecture.
Briefly, the project is a forestry research station set in Northumberland. Effectively, for fifth year, you have to initiate a thesis and then substantiate that thesis with the building. And my thesis, my particular interest was in synthesising organic and so-called green architecture.
Some students are fortunate enough to have their studio projects realised. One such student was Sarah Menin, who designed the St Anthony Priory Chapel for the Society of the Sacred Mission in Durham.
Sarah rang me up some years ago when she needed a project to do for her first degree, and she designed the perfect monastery for this site. But that was a fantasy, a beautiful fantasy. It got her at first. But some years later we did need a chapel, and we asked Sarah to try this. She's very much affected by the Finnish architect Aalto and believes very much in the relation between the building and the environment so that it seems to grow out of and belong to the environment in which the building finds itself. She was asked to design a chapel which will be a happy environment for something like a dozen people ordinarily, with the possibility of stretching the numbers to a larger number for the big occasion, and that is what we've got. It is a very beautiful building to use, especially in small groups, but it is also the sort of building in which you can feel absolutely comfortable if you're here thinking, contemplating on your own.
Graduates who complete their training at Newcastle University need not go directly into practice. The Department of Architecture offers a variety of postgraduate diplomas. For example, the Centre of Architectural Research and Development Overseas, which specialises in the designing of housing and amenities in developing countries. Other possible areas of pursuit include the Urban Studies programme or the related MPhil in town planning. Newcastle's Building Science Department is one of the highest-rated research establishments in the country and houses an important computer-aided design facility.
The world of architectural practice is changing, and the role of the architect is continually being questioned by government, by the industry, and not least by the informed client. There is little doubt that the role of the architect will change over the next 10 to 15 years. Our aim is to equip our students with the knowledge, attitude and skills to cope with this future, to cope with it with confidence and from a strong architectural design base. Designers are at the sharp end. Their decisions will influence the quality of the environment for generations to come. This is a challenge which our students must accept and which we must do our best to equip them for.